In the category of research and technology, the nominees are Dr. Ranjit.
My name is Ranajit Bandopadhyay. I am a plant pathologist based at the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, or IIT in short. There are many approaches that have been followed for aflatoxin control. And one of the approaches that we have used to a large extent in case of both maize and groundnut is the biocontrol approach. We have developed a product that we call as AflaSafe, and AflaSafe is the biocontrol product, and the way it actually functions is that we identify from nature non-toxin producing strains of Aspergillus flavus that produce the toxin producing strains, and we outcompete the toxin producing strains by the non-toxin producing strains. And we identify these strains and then formulate that into a product, and usually it's a dead sorghum grain that we coat with the good fungus, and all that the farmers have to do is to spread those sorghum grains with the good fungus on the field. It's environmentally safe and it's easy to use, and it's only one action that the farmer has to make for about half a day to treat 1 hectare of land. That makes the crop products coming out of it safe to eat, not only at harvest time, but also they can store it safely, and the protection actually lasts from the field until the grain is consumed. So it's got a long lasting effect, number one. It has got a multiple crop effect. That means it works both on groundnut and maize. It has got a multiple year effect. That means if you use it for 1 year, the impact lasts for 2 to 3 years. So economically, actually, it makes a lot of sense. What we have realized is that development of the technology was the easier part. Scaling out was the more difficult part. And for that, we had to use partners are essential, national partners, as well as different policy options and institutional options. So we actually combine all of them, the technology, institutions, and policies together in a package to ensure that the technology is actually used and farmers actually get aflatoxin safe material.
Professor Peter J. Cody. Professor Peter J. Cody is a research plant pathologist and lead scientist for the Agricultural Research Services of the United States Department of Agriculture. He leads the USDA laboratory based in the School of Plant Sciences at the University of Arizona in Tucson and serves as an adjunct professor at his host university. Dr. Cody is internationally recognized for his work on aflatoxin contamination for over 20 years. Professor Achireo Kaya.
I am Achireo Kaya, a professor at Makerere University. My area of specialization is food post-harvest technology and food safety, where I have been doing teaching and research for the last 27 years. I'm currently the head Department of Food Technology and Nutrition in the School of Food Technology, Nutrition and Bioengineering, College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences. In addition to teaching and research, I also do a lot of community work in the areas of food science and nutrition. So with effect from 1990, when the Department of Food Technology and Nutrition was established, we started conducting aflatoxin research in this country, mainly establishing the factors which predispose the produce to aflatoxin contamination, as well as establishing the levels in the various food products which are susceptible to aflatoxins, especially the staple foods like maize, groundnuts, soybean, sorghum, and also baby foods which are locally processed here, and also animal feeds. So we have found out that the levels actually are quite high, and therefore there is need to manage this problem in this country. But now we have been really supported by Paca to establish the impact, the health and economic impact of aflatoxins in this country. And this is now well known, well documented, and that has led us to coming up with an action plan, which is actually a strategic action plan to mitigate aflatoxin contamination in our produce, which is supposed to be mainstreamed within the agricultural sector strategic plan for the next 5 years.
We are particularly indebted to thousands of farmers and farm organizations in several African countries and the state of Arizona and Texas in the United States, who contributed to the development and willingly tested our technologies and supported us when the chips were down. They were our inspiration and instrumental to let us stay on course in spite of several hardships. Of course, none of this will be possible without the support from our funding agencies that sometimes double up as advisor and collaborator. We sincerely thank the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, USAID, who actively participated in strategy development and problem resolution, and several other donors and governments for their generous support, without which progress will have repeatedly stalled. Among them, Arlene Mitchell, Corinne Assen, Margaret McDaniel, Mary Onsongo, Prime Warrior, and Jason Sandar deserve special mention, as does IITA Director General Terani Sanina. Such consistent support of both strategic and applied research for the development and scaling up of aflatoxin biocontrol continue to be crucial to connecting for science of aflatoxin mitigation to the benefit of smallholder farmers.
In the category of policy and creating an enabling environment, the nominees are Honorable Jessica Erio. Jessica Erio is a Ugandan educator, social worker, politician and diplomat. Currently, she serves as the Deputy Secretary General of the East African Community, responsible for productive and social sectors. Since 2014, Honorable Jessica Erio has been an advocate for aflatoxin mitigation, noting that millions of people living in the East African region consume high and unsafe levels of aflatoxin through their diets on a daily basis. She has advocated for a holistic and multi-sectoral approach that encompasses agriculture, health, trade and industry sectors in implementing this project at the national and regional level. Dr. Zainab Jallo.
Dr. Zainab Jallo is the Director General of the Food Safety and Quality Authority. I'm a research scientist trained in molecular biology. I started with a degree in biology before specializing in molecular biology. Did my PhD in the Netherlands on transcription regulation. The reason I'm in food safety is because I have a passion for food safety, not only as a consumer, but as a scientist. The authority has taken up at two levels. We've taken up for the mitigation of aflatoxin. We have on the strategic level where we've done the advocacy, that is by making sure aflatoxin mitigation is raised to the highest levels of this government, by making sure the higher echelon of this government are aware of the aflatoxin problem and ways what we can do to mitigate. We also do resource mobilization to ensure that we can mitigate aflatoxin from the farm to the fork. Through this resource mobilization, we have been able to produce sensitization documents such as the calendars, the posters, and also build capacity in the inspectors within the authority and within the stakeholders, because it makes no sense if the regulator knows why it needs to mitigate and what it has to do, whereas the person you're regulating, the value chain actors, the producers, those that are selling it to the public, don't know why you are there to enforce. So when we do resource mobilization for capacity building, we keep the value chain actors also at the back of our mind that these are people in who capacity also has to be built. So we have also done a lot of sensitization using both the print media and visual media. We're on TV, we're on the radio stations, sometimes every weekend with the local radio stations, where we do the sensitization not only in English but in the local languages, which is more important, which is key, because the people that you're talking to are just functional literates and need you to get the message across in the language they understand. So we've been able to put those things in place, and hopefully this is helping towards the mitigation of aflatoxin in this country.
Ernest Obi.
My name is Ernest Obi. I'm a Gambian national working for the ECOWAS Commission over the last 8 years. I'm the head of division for agriculture in the ECOWAS Commission. Aflatoxin is a major challenge in West Africa. The presence of aflatoxin in agricultural commodities affects food security, it affects human health and growth, it also affects both regional and international trade. So aflatoxin is a developmental challenge.
We're not expecting this, so I don't have a speech. The Food Safety and Quality Authority is relatively young, and I guess all I can say is thank you very much for honoring us in such a way. And I think we've only been able to do this with the support of partners, especially Paca, who decided to make us a focal institution. And we've received all the support to do the work from them. They haven't really let us slack off. And I think that's one of the reasons we've come this time. But thank you very much. The Gambia appreciates this award.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. I'd like to express my gratitude to the Paca committee that selected me for this award. As I did say earlier in my speech today, this award is not mine. This award is for the East African community because we have worked as a team. Even though I was a team leader, I had a very strong team of experts from the Secretariat of the East African community, but also from the partner states. I'd like to thank the Paca community and all the partners, and particularly USA, East Africa, IITA, for the support that they have given to the East African community, and to ensure that we have the results that we have. Implementation, as I say, is key. We have to take this forward. I actually forgot, but today someone reminded me that one day I was in the church, and then I was asked to address the church. He said, one of us who has been working in the East African community today, she's in the church, in a small church here in Kampala. We would like to ask her to come and in my head. So I blessed the church of aflatoxin. And everybody was very happy. And since then, they have been contemplating to invite me to speak to the Archbishop and the bishops. And I think I will do that. Because I know they are very good advocates. When the church or the religious institutions take up such an issue, all their followers will listen and follow. So I pledge to do that. I also pledge to talk to our traditional leaders so that they can integrate this in their cultural practices. And I'll, of course, continue to advocate in the EAC and any other leadership role that I will take. Thank you very much once again. God bless you.
In the category of resource mobilization, the nominees are His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta was sworn in as President of Kenya on 9th April 2013. He is the son of Jomo Kenyatta, Kenya's first president. In January 2015, the government of Kenya allocated more than 1.5 billion shillings to step up the fight against aflatoxin. Mohammed bin Abdallah Dionne. Mohamed Ben Abdallah Dionne is a Senegalese politician who has served as the Prime Minister of Senegal since 6th July 2014. Dionne served at the Central Bank of Western African States, the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, and as an advisor to the president before his appointment as Prime Minister. He is a computer engineer by training. Under Mr. Dionne's leadership, the government of Senegal has created a comprehensive program for aflatoxin mitigation.
I'm Obey Aseri. I'm a director of the coordination of government business in the Prime Minister's Office, Republic of Tanzania. Over the past 5 years, I've been a director there. I'm a trained economist. So my role there is to coordinate various stakeholders, especially when anything is involved in a multi-sectoral way, that many people, many sectors are doing or are contributing to an initiative. I coordinate them to make sure that the synergies are created and there is no duplication. So I coordinate government, business, academia, CSO to put them together for a common agenda. I think when I was doing the coordination of preparation of this country situation analysis and action plan, I was really bringing stakeholders together to diagnose the problem and find a way of addressing it. So in so doing, I managed to bring people on the table, discuss, then steer the process of doing the situation analysis and come up with a plan. And now finally, that plan has been funded. The government has put money on it. Me as the director of coordination, I think I played that role of making sure the issues known to the government and other stakeholders bring up their resources together. And then when we mobilize the resources, I think the resources came in. But I don't say I did so much or in terms of mobilizing resources, but putting the stakeholders together to understand the lesson and bring up the resources.
That His Excellency has given over 1 billion shillings for the management of aflatoxin in the country. And this money has been spread over 5 years. And I can assure you that last year alone, the country imported over 220 tons of aflatoxin to give to the farmer. This season also, the government has given $730,000 for the same purpose. Additionally, we continue. The country currently is looking at ways of commercializing aflatoxin because you know that government is not the best in the business. So we are now creating an enabling government for the privates to come into play and take over the popularization and commercialization of the aflatoxin. So His Excellency has facilitated the ministry to do very many reintroducing technologies that will go along with solving the aflatoxin menace. Thank you so much. God bless you. This is for all of you. All of you are winners. This is for all of you also. Thank you.
And now we are in our last category, and it's a very important category because it's on communication. And what would we do if we didn't communicate this problem to the right people, to the beneficiaries, to the farmers, to the women, the children, the consumers? Communication is really important.
In the category of advocacy and communication, the nominees are Eastern Africa Farmers Federation.
I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Eastern Africa Farmers Federation. We are a regional network of national farmer unions and national associations of cooperatives, covering 10 countries in Eastern Africa, representing 23 of such national associations, and with a membership of over 20 million farmers. And our membership cuts across the entire agriculture landscape, from crops to livestock, agroforestry to the fisheries, and so on. We were the initial team that was involved in the initiative under the Africa Union called Paca, Partnership on Aflatoxin Control in Africa, and this emanated from the Caadp process. We had every year what we call the Caadp partnership platforms, and at one point in Cameroon during the partnership platform, the discussion and issues around aflatoxin were raised from the angle of food safety. And at that point in time, it was felt that, looking at the kind of research that has actually been done and kind of data that you were actually getting from some of the medical practitioners, that it was an area of concern that needed the attention of the Africa Union, and most importantly, under the Caadp process. So we initiated the Paca process, and I was nominated to represent the Pan-African Farmers Organization. So I actually sit in the steering committee representing the farmers of Africa. And one of the things, or most of the things that we've actually done, is to ensure that Paca gets the kind of visibility that it needs in the whole of Africa. We needed at least a clearinghouse, or at least a repository of where all the work on aflatoxin that is happening in the continent and outside the continent can actually be accessed for anybody who wants to get up-to-date information, or at least know what kind of work is actually happening in Africa with respect to aflatoxin. So we are championing, or I'm championing, the process of awareness creation, because once the farmer is informed, then the whole process around ensuring that we have management of aflatoxin actually starts.
Grace Musimami.
My name is Grace Musimami. I'm a journalist, and I write and edit the Farmers Media newspaper, and we also produce videos on agriculture, sensitizing farmers and helping them to use visual materials to know what they can do without an extension worker. As a person from the media side, I just got to know what aflatoxins are 3 years ago. Many people today, including very senior technical people, don't know what aflatoxins are. When you talk about them, say, what is that? This takes us back to labor to make sure we simplify to communicate and say, this is a fungus that turns into a mold when you wrongly handle your grain or your crops, and this would lead into developing of molds that will later become toxins. We've made it mandatory that our newspaper and all our communication channels have to have aflatoxin as part of the packaging. Everything we package, every month that we produce the farmers' media, we make sure there is an aflatoxin message going out. We've had trainings. We go out and train farmers, most cases, and then we have to alert them. We meet farmers who are drying on the ground, and we have to try and help them to understand that this is a wrong way of handling the grain, and they have to. We've also worked with research stations. For example, Naro has developed a new maize variety. We, as farmers' media, I've been trying to make sure that we help them to promote the technology, to make sure that people know that there is this variety of maize that can be able to resist aflatoxin, the fungus being able to, the fungus developing. So we've done a lot on aflatoxin, but we don't do it because of anything, but we think it's our social responsibility. We have a conscience to save the people, to tell them more. And the farmers' media is basically a rural media. So if we don't tell the people, they won't know that the danger is within and it's on their plates. One of the key challenges of communicating aflatoxin is breaking down the language. I don't have a word for the fungus, Aspergillus. I cannot break it down into any other language. And so this becomes a big challenge in communicating. We also believe that the historical factor has a big play it does in communicating aflatoxin mitigation. We had trainings in 6 districts, and we were surprised. The farmers kept saying, we've been eating these molds all through our lives, and because of the long-term impacts, the impacts are not very visible. It makes it very hard for people to believe when you're communicating. However, the only solution to make sure we mitigate aflatoxin is to continue communicating. The message will sink and it will get there safe.
I'm very happy to announce that the winner is the East Africa Farmers Federation. And I'm going to ask Dr. Melinda to come and give the award on their behalf. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wesley and the team. This is a great surprise, a big surprise for my table, where we are seated. Because we were talking about issues very far away from our homes. But anyway, now that this award has been given to the East African Farmers Federation, definitely one of the strongest farmers organizations on the continent. A farmers organization that has accompanied this continent for many years, not just on the aflatoxin issue, but the entire issue of the Comprehensive Africa Agricultural Development Program, Caadp. The aflatoxin program is a flag carrier program of Caadp. Colleagues, you may want to know that the president of the East African Farmers Federation, Mr. Philip Kirillo, also serves on the board of the Pan-African Farmers Organization, PAF. They have been accompanying all of us throughout the African continent to develop our own development plans for advancement of agriculture. It is because of these plans that we have developed in many countries on the African continent that we have been able to find a way to mainstream, to now mainstream our aflatoxin mitigation plans and be able to get resources from government. They have provided a vehicle through which governments would show leadership in terms of aflatoxin mitigation, but also a vehicle through which our partners could also provide resources. So thank you very much for this award. It's a great evening for the East African Farmers Federation. Congratulations to my friend Stephen Michel. Thank you so much.